Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kai, and I'm the creator of Ka Intuitive. Let me take a drink of water really quick because I actually am really thirsty. Like, I'm always thirsty, but I have been kind of running around all day, and so I just feel like I haven't had enough time to like really sit and drink water and just like sit. So give me a second. Hydration alert. If you need water, go grab it. Have some. It tastes great. It's life. It's sustaining. Today, I'm thinking that the conversation is going to be very much about the solar eclipse, more solar eclipse like forward, just because that is the energy that we're in. It's happening on the 8th of this month, April 8th, 2024, which is Monday. Today is Thursday, the 4th. Yes, the 4th. Sorry, I really had to think about that for a second because I was like, the days just, it doesn't, is it the 4th? Is it the 5th? I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's on Monday the 8th. That's what we need to really be focusing on, okay? The solar eclipse in Aries. I always say I'm not an astrologer. I'm not that girl that's going to be able to like pull a chart and tell you all the things, right? I can if you give me like a very long time to really like look at it and be with it and understand, but I'm still very much in training in that arena of my life. I understand enough to get me through, but not enough to get us through. So bear with me on that. What I do understand about solar eclipses, what I do understand about the eclipse energy in general, is that it can bring up a lot of like unexpected events that could happen in our normal lives. It can be very disruptive. It can also be very mysterious. And if you think about like ancient civilizations, I always think this whenever any sort of eclipse happens, I'm like, no wonder they thought that the world was ending every single time the moon did something, because I mean, how terrifying would it be to not have anything to explain what's going on around the world, or what's going on in the world around you, right? With the world around you. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I feel like you might get it. So looking at the moon, understanding that what an eclipse is, it's when the sun, well, a solar eclipse is when the sun is going to be blocking out the moon for about 4 minutes tops, from what I understand, from what I've read. And it casts, and I'm going off of like this, it's not really like astrology. It's also maybe not even science. It's really like the way that my intuition is, or the way that I understand messages is through, I feel like I'm shouting, but it's through taking in the symbolism in things, right? And like letting things kind of tell me a story, letting the energy around me tell me a story and tell me what's good, right? And so, and I don't mean good, like, I mean, just tell me what's up, right? So when I think about an eclipse and I think about the energy and like the way that it kind of can make the shadows grow longer, and it kind of can create like kind of a haze, almost a solar eclipse. I don't know if you've seen one yet. I would assume you have at least one time in your life by now, but it can create this like very bizarre energy of like, ooh, okay, I don't know how to feel about this, right? And so like, I think that a lot of people, because of that feeling that might kind of creep up, where you're like, man, this is really cool, it's really exciting, but also like, what's going on? You know what I mean? I think that that's what kind of might make people feel like, oh, you don't want to set intention during an eclipse, or eclipse energy is very it's kind of like scary. It's more on the shadowy side. So you don't want to like really like dive into it, right? You just kind of want to observe and keep it pushing. And that's fine for like most people. And I think that that's magic in and of itself. But for myself, I'm actually planning on baking cookies with my friend that day, because we were talking yesterday about how the good old days are kind of over of, I don't know if you were like growing up in the 90s or before that, when your mom or parent would say like, hey, will you go across the street and ask them really quick if they have a little bit of baking soda, or if they have some flour or some eggs or whatever, some sugar, or you just go ask the neighbor for a cup of sugar, right? Or some bread even. I know that at one point as a kid, I had to like run and grab a couple of pieces of bread from a neighbor, you know, and it's just something that you do to get each other by, right? In a pinch, midway through a recipe. And we were talking, my friend and I, this was yesterday, we were talking about it, and we were like, man, we need to bring those back. Like, it's kind of crazy, like how much that has changed and shifted in not so much of a time, like not so much of a length of time, you know? Like, I mean, I was maybe 6 years old at the time, maybe even older than that a little bit, right? And I'm only 32. So it's kind of crazy that things like that can shift so quickly. And now it's like a foreign thing. Like if somebody were to come to your door and said, hey, can I borrow an egg? You know what I mean? A lot of like, I think younger generations might be like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Because it's so not a part of our culture anymore. And we've really, as a society, at least in America, like I personally, this is my opinion, we've shifted so deeply and so like we swung so heavily over to the individualist side that we're forgetting that we're a community at the end of the day. Like we have neighbors, we have people around us at all times. And this is not just pandemic stuff. This is before the pandemic when we started acting like we were the only people on this earth, right? And like that's not a judgment. I do it too. Like that, I'm not judging at all. I'm just making observations and being like, that's weird. We might, that might be kind of problematic down the line. I am an Aquarius. I can't help it. I'm like, hey, I made an observation. I had a thought today, and and here's my 5-year plan. So anyway, I was telling my friend, I was like, well, we're bitching about it. We should do something about it. So we're going to bake cookies, the little thumbprint cookies with the jam, different types of jams. And we're going to give them to our neighbors there. He's going to take his cookies to his neighbors. And I'm going to take my cookies to my neighbors. And we're just going to be all neighborly, because it's like, I personally have been this energy between these two eclipses, right? And maybe Mercury retrograde too, is I'm looking at these old ways, that's personally what I'm doing is I'm looking at the old ways of doing things, and it's not even so old. It's just maybe even early 2000s, right? Where we used to make more time to do certain things, right? Last weekend when I was with my husband, we were mobbing around Los Angeles, and, I had said to him, like in thought, because I'm actually planning my own organic garden right now. I told him, I was like, why aren't we creating more community gardens? Like, why isn't that just like a thing that we do like here? I mean, we're upset at the prices and all the goings ons of of like prices of groceries and things like that. Like, how are we helping each other through this? That's really like where my head's at. And that might be because I'm an Aquarius and like, we're very much the humanitarian woo woo, right? Or like, we're very much about community, but like, don't touch me, but like community, right? It also could be with the Pluto in Aquarius, right? That just moved in. I think Pluto just moved into Aquarius from Capricorn, I think last month, February, which was not last month, that was March. So February, I think, is when I moved in. I don't know. Don't quote me. Maybe even earlier than that. Look, I don't know. What's time? Doesn't matter. I don't know. But right now, there's a heavy emphasis for myself, which means that there must be somebody else out there that is also having these maybe thoughts or reminiscing or nostalgia or just being like, how do we get back there? That wasn't that bad. Now that we see where we're at and we see that this doesn't really work, like how can we revamp or reimagine what we can actually be as a society and what we can actually be as a community? I swear I'll get into to cards eventually, but your girl is also Gemini moon. So we're going to talk about it. Hang on. I made a concoction. This is my chia seed water, but I put honey, a little bit of honey, eucalyptus honey, and cinnamon, because I love cinnamon. So if I get a chia seed in my tooth, I'm sorry. Replenishment. In the name. So she's good. So what was I saying? Yeah, so we're thinking about, well, I'm thinking, and hopefully you're thinking, and if we're thinking together, let me know and down in the comments, like what your thoughts have been of how to establish a more sustainable space for our own communities. Because that's what we have. We do have power over that, right? I'm starting a community garden, I'm starting a garden, an organic garden in my own backyard, right? But my goal is to eventually get in, once I like build my garden and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm solid. I'm like, my foundation is good on this. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel, good in this arena. I want to look into what it would look like and what it would take to start community, kind of like almost like urban development. Like, I heard that, my friend and I, same friend, cookie friend, we were talking about that as well, because they also have another friend who does urban planning and development and everything. And I, might have to pick that person's brain down the line, or even now. It doesn't matter, because again, what is time? But my point is to say that, it's like, okay, how do we bring, like, now that I've had this like kind of idea, and it's not an original idea, don't get me wrong. I know that people are doing this. It's not that it's like unheard of. It's just that I don't see it where I'm at. Therefore, since it dropped down into my mind, I feel like I'm responsible, that I'm not a Christian. And if this offends you, sorry, but I'm not a Christian. But I will quote the Bible. I don't know where it's at in the Bible, but it's like, faith without deeds is dead, right? Like, if I'm going to be here as a practitioner of any kind of spiritual background, doesn't matter. When when there's a message to be said, or when there is an idea that forms in my mind or my heart that just kind of comes out of the ashes of nowhere, really, it would seem, and it's for the betterment of the collective, that is blessed. That is a blessed seed of wisdom right there, right? That is something to pursue. And I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone in that experience, baby. So I'm really talking straight directly to those of you that be getting inspired, man. And like those of you that are like maybe sitting on something that you're like, I don't know, like, that's not even an original thought. Why the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's doing that. Just do it. See it through. I will take this one other opportunity and then I will jump into pulling cards, I promise. Not that I even think that that's my strong suit. Let's be really real. Like, I think that my strong suit is just talking. Like, I just be talking, I'm like, hey, let's ignite each other, right? Like, that's really like, that's what I'm here as like a Leo Chiron. I just be like here taking up space and I'm like, you should do it too. And hopefully you're like, okay, I will, that's what I would love to see. But one thing I will say before I shut up and get to the cards that I haven't pulled yet at all, I haven't done anything with it, is that I finally, you guys, I've shared this on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you should go follow me, at KA Intuitive OC, Orange County. Okay. At KA Intuitive OC. So go follow me there on Instagram if you're not yet. I said this already there, that it was June 28th, 2023. I had a download come through on some real, and I do automatic writing, right? Where I just kind of like I pray and and that's a part of my meditation, right? That's one piece of it. But I don't really do like automatic like drawing or like coloring or any of that, right? But I was like, where's my crayons? Where's my pencils? Where's my color pencils, right? I'm like rummaging through my son's stuff and I'm finding color pencils and I'm going downstairs and I'm like by candlelight in our living room, I'm like drawing out this image and I don't know what it is. I'm just drawing this image, and it becomes clear to me that I'm drawing the 7 chakras, right? And there's more than just 7, but we're focusing on the basic, the easy, the more mainstream idea of chakras, right? And if you don't know what a chakra is, it's basically these energy centers within your body. They align from root to your crown. Now, so you have your root chakra, your root chakra, your sacral chakra, which is just below the navel, your solar plexus, which is your core, your heart chakra, which is right here, your throat chakra, your third eye, and your crown, okay? Those are the chakras in a very basic term, okay? In a very westernized basic term. This is an Indian practice. This is written by, I believe, the Vedas of India. I was going to put my hair up because I keep fucking with it, but sorry. Sometimes I remind myself, I can't remember his name, but sometimes I remind myself of the guy off of Workaholics when I do this. Like if I'm not going to do it right now, but like I'll do it. Well, now I got to do. Now I have to. When I part my hair like this, it won't part like that. But if I wear my hair like that, kind of, it's not really giving right now. But like, I start to feel like him. I can't remember his name, but I love him. And I love that show, Workaholics. Anyway, a little side note. So I intuitively drew this work, and it looks actually just like this, which is cards that I received this year. So I drew that in last summer in June, and I got a card deck for my birthday that had this image on the back of each card. Every single card looks like that on the back. And literally I drew like the same thing. Like insane. They call it, I believe, the Blessings Butterfly. I think I wrote on it like Cosmic Butterfly or something like that, but it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that I drew this and understood, and it became clear to me that the chakras they're not upside down. I don't want to say they're upside down because this is like a cajillion years old practice, right? So I'm not here to like challenge that. I am just here to state what has been given to me, the imagery that's been given to me. And it's about the flow state between the chakras and how they interact with each other versus just focusing on, because if you go through like YouTube channels and stuff like that, and like a lot of people talk about chakras, and you have like chakra meditation, like for your root or for your this, or like a chakra meditation that kind of keeps it separate, right? But when we know about energy is a flow. It gives and it takes, and it also changes, right? It's not something that remains, it's not something that remains like stagnant, right? So it's like, even if, that was the floorboard, by the way, I didn't fart. even if it's been this way for a very long time, in like the year of, the age of, what was the last age? Age of Pisces, I think, or something. I don't know. Age of girl, I don't know. But we're in age Aquarius. That's what I know now. And so there is a massive shift, right? And so, and from the books that I've been reading, it's being called like the maternal shift, right? Like now we are into like more like divine feminine energy, right? And we're going to be seeing like maybe like more masculine type of energetic things like kind of come crashing down so that we can rebuild it with like a little bit more balance. Not saying that like divine feminine needs divine masculine needs divine feminine. Like we need each other, like, and that's not just in people, that's just like in energy, right? It's like the positive and negative ion, right? Like you need both to be able to work together, right? And so, sorry, my leg is like falling asleep. I always be having problems with my legs, and because I don't sit. I don't, like, I like to, So okay, that's it. I keep fucking with my hair. So this meditation is really geared on looking at, okay, I hate that. Looking at the chakras as centers that work within each other. So how the crown chakra interacts with the root, and how they give each other life, and how those two ones are connected. And then we break it down from the crown to the root, boom, and from the third eye to the sacral chakra, and how those interact through the throat and the solar plexus, and then how the heart is the center, right? And that's what was told to me by my guides, by my ancestors, right? And I understood that, and I wrote this meditation, and I started actually penning. I sat with it from June to January, and I started working on it and putting it down in January 8th of this year. And last week, I believe, I finished it. I finished the meditation, all of it. And so I am now going to be offering it as a teaching modality at local spiritual centers here in Orange County. So that's something that I'm very much looking forward to. And I just wanted to kind of share that, that process really, because, it needs to be shared, because I'm now just starting to kind of talk about it in a very, very open way, and like actually explaining what I mean by it. When I say true root is actually what it's called, true root. And how it was told to me immediately when I was like drawing, it was like the chakras are upside down, and it's not so much that they're upside down. It's understanding, like, I mean, how it was, the image that was given to me was the flipping of the chakras. So now seeing it, how the crown is actually the root, right? How when we're engaged with all that is, when we're engaged with, you know, when we are rooted in all that is, it is like we pull our need for survival is understood. Our need or our desires to feel like stabilized is it's like, no, it almost doesn't matter, because you are stabilized in faith. You're stabilized in knowing and trusting your higher power, trusting the collective consciousness, right? Whatever it is for you, you know, but that's kind of how it's been told to me, is like almost like a rotation of the chakras. So I'm really looking forward to teaching this, and excuse the choppiness and the nerves, and the, you know, I haven't figured out my ways of speaking about it, right? It's new, but I'm excited. So with that, let's just pull. You know, I did a lot of talking today, and I'm trying to keep I want to keep my videos short. My other ones are like really long. The last couple have been kind of really long, and so I want to keep it kind of short, and I just want to get an understanding of like what to really expect, and like kind of having this comfort around us. So I think I had 4 decks here, but I think I'm gonna go with my Isis Oracle deck. I love Oracle cards. They're my fave. I do love them. I love tarot too, don't get me wrong, but I just, Oracle cards for me, just because, like I said, I'm more of a storyteller, right? And so like, though tarot cards give the same, very much, like that is what it is, there's something about Oracle cards that really like inspire me, and especially using Oracle cards with tarot cards, like that's also very fun. But I really, I just feel like with the sun and the moon energy coming together, which is also a vibe, I just realized like that's what we're also looking at with solar eclipse and true root that I'm teaching, and you know, just all the conversations that we've had, like, you know, I think that it's really blessed to go with Isis. And yeah, so let's just recenter for a second, if I can. My like little dumb leg, I just have to stretch it out a little bit. It fell asleep completely, so excuse the mess under my bed. Okay, and also I'm kind of getting a little warm. Okay. Sorry if that's gross to you. What do we need as a collective? What is the message from the Great Mother? That's really quick. That's what Aset is known as, or Isis. I call her Aset because I was told that that's the proper pronunciation. I haven't fact checked it though, so like I don't know actually, but definitely she is known as the Great Mother. She upholds us, she comforts us. If there's comfort that's needed, which I think that is always needed in some form of fashion, it is always needed and always welcomed. Whether it's a shoulder to cry on, a loving gesture, a smile, a wave, a handshake, a hug. Just the understanding that we're not alone. Okay, that separation is a false, it's a farce. I don't think I've ever used that word before. Separation is a farce. And we are here together on this planet in this day and in this moment. And we are not alone, and we have each other. Even when there are multiple powers working to deny us of the birthright of getting to know one another in a meaningful and authentic way. I set intention that we are brought to each other in love, in light, in protection, in clarity, and honesty, and authenticity. And I want to invite our elevated ancestors and guides and God into this space so that we can hear a message that is meant for each and every one of us, even if it's taken in every other direction. It doesn't matter. The message is the message. Ashe. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Oop. Sorry, there was like a lot that fell out, but this one really wants to come out. Wow. Okay, so this card that fell out was Miracle of Isis, Miraculous Healing of the Goddess. She's depicted here holding her husband and Osiris, who, if you don't know the story of her story is that her husband Osiris was, through jealousy, her brother Set destroyed Osiris, and Set waited to go find him. She went to go find her husband, and when Set just did destroy Osiris, he had scattered his body parts in other regions and other areas, and so Isis had to go on this great mission to bring all pieces of Osiris back and repair him and heal him and bring him back together and bring him back to life. And I believe, I don't quote me, I have to read her story again. I believe that from there they had a son, or she had to go into hiding to protect her son. I can't remember exactly, but the main point here right now is that I'm getting is that when we look at like the solar eclipse, it is the coming together of the sun and moon, the masculine, the feminine, right? We can look at it like that. And here in this way, I do feel very much, because of this card coming up, I feel like there is a heavy emphasis there. And it can be in, with Isis, her story of like rescuing her beloved, even through the mourning and I mean mourning, like crying, the mourning, the pain, the anguish, right? Going forth, being brave, rescuing him, putting him back together again, right? There's a huge call, I think, here for, and it doesn't matter how you identify, there's a huge call here for healing that aspect of us, or also for Isis, for our feminine energy, right? Knowing what is for us and what is not, right? What does require our attention to heal or to bring back or to, to put back together, like, is there something that we might, this would be even like an obsession, right? Like where we think like we're responsible for the brokenness here. But the reality is that it's the actions of another that has broken this person or this space, or broken this thing within us, And so it's like, sometimes we have to look at what we're actually responsible for and like leave the rest. But in this way, like in the imagery, she is carrying him, and she is his eyes in this, it looks in this way that he is like blinded. His eyes are completely white. And she is, the feminine energy is the eyes, the ears, the protector. And that also just goes to show how these energies interact with one another. When one is wounded, how does the other one respond within our body? When one is injured and crippled, how does the feminine, when your masculine is crippled, how does the feminine react to it? When your feminine is crippled, how does the masculine react to it? And it's in those kind of questions that we ask ourselves that we may be able to find the answer and the antidote to bringing ourselves back to center. Okay. I want to read just like the little blurb that comes with this, just because I really love the words in this book. Yeah, miraculous healing. And that also, like, just with going from like the prayer that I had and like what's just been on my heart lately of just kind of like bringing us back together again, you know, there's just like a lot, there's just so much, you know, there's these little intricacies, like these little things that we can do each day that bring us closer to each other, that bring us, you know, and like we can start in our own homes, we can start within our own families, within our own selves, you know, but I just think that it's worthy work. It's righteous work. Sorry, give me a minute. It doesn't have like numbers. It's all by, whatchamacallit, alphabetical. It's alphabetized. So, okay, here we go. Isis was known as a talented practitioner of the healing arts and was capable of miraculous healings. For you, beloved, she offers a miracle healing. No matter how much you have struggled with a particular matter, no matter how impossible it may seem to imagine your life without this old wound, addiction, problem, relationship issue, or inner struggle being a part of it, you are guided now to accept the possibility of miraculous healing, to let go and let the goddess be. I'm going to read the whole thing. I feel called. The Lady Isis wishes to lift a load that has become too heavy for you to heal on your own, beloved. She cannot take something away from you if you are not willing to release it to her, however. Release for healing means trust, letting go of attachment to outcome and how that outcome might be achieved, and opening to the divine genius of healing that seeks to express the perfection of divine love through you now. To hand something over for healing, especially when it has been a long-term or persistent difficulty or simply seems to be too great or overwhelming to be healed, takes a radical change of mind and heart. To dare to hope without becoming attached to how or when something can happen, to surrender without forgetting to follow your intuition and act accordingly, to trust even though you may have been disappointed or hurt in the past. All these things take skill and courage. Yet these are the requirements for us to surrender into the great healing of divine love. Lady Isis speaks through this oracle and says to you that recovery from trauma and emotional healing is not only possible, but if you are willing, it can it can happen for you now. No matter the depth of grief, loss, despair, fear, or anger, love can and will absorb all of it. This oracle is also an indication that a spiritual gift or awakening of deep healing ability at a new level are coming your way. Keep your eyes and ears open and let go of doubt or fear about opening up to this new level of proficiency. Dedicate your work to divine love and trust that it will flow through you stronger now. You are capable of great work when you trust in your own heart and the love of the divine flowing through you with total surrender. I love that, guys. I love it. I love it. I want to get another card from one of my faves. This is my Sacred Path. I do have a little bit of time on here. I want to push it just to get a little bit more confirmation. Oh, yes. We got coral. Coral! I'm sorry. Walking Dead, you know. Sorry, you can't read it, I think. Nurturing. I don't know the story of coral, though. And I should have pulled that book down before I started. Yeah. So right away, it's like almost giving me a symbol of like arrow. Because the second one is introspection and goals, right? It's like, it's okay to, I was already kind of talking about this, the reassessing and redirecting, right? When you pull an arrow back, when you have to pull it back in order for it to gain momentum, right? And so understanding that could definitely be something that is an act of nourishing, right? An act of pulling yourself back from making a decision, pulling yourself back from acting on something that you maybe are trying to release, right? From, acting on like past behaviors that may perpetuate stories that we tell ourselves, or may perpetuate, you know, the treatment of others that we're trying to like separate ourselves from, right? What we're trying to separate ourselves from and step into, we might have to go back in order to move forward, right? So having a call on introspection in order to put your goals down in paper and also in action is something that can be a huge asset for you when you're working with the solar eclipse energy, right? It's like understanding what is actually nurturing for you. Immediately, so like this is very literal, but understanding coral, like actual coral in the ocean, and how it really is. Okay, hold on. I have to sit with this for a second. I understand, for whatever reason, the understanding of like coral and being depleted by like poisonous sunblock came through. And I don't know why. I mean, yes, coral, but how does this come through with nurturing? What is it? Yeah, it's just in doing our part, right? Doing what you can do, doing what you actually have control over. You don't wear that type of SPF. You go and you might have to search for a different sunscreen to wear so that you're not causing harm to the things there that are put in place to heal or create or filter, filter a space that make it clear and clean for everyone to enjoy. Sorry, I have to change my sitting. Can I have more on the nurturing? Ooh. Yeah, okay, so I got retreat and then earth connection and empowerment. So yeah, it's like the understanding of your own personal power and how that affects others. And if you're actually stepping into your power in a way that is causing harm to those around you, or it is building them up, or at least just not a toxic, you're not bringing toxicity into it. Because a lot of the times, when we're in our pursuit of what we think is best for us, or we may be absolutely correct, but our execution of that process is a little shaky, or we might not be realizing that we are being relatively judgmental or disrespectful towards those around us, right? And we actually are now creating a toxic environment without even really necessarily meaning to. We're just here to enjoy and take in the experience, but in reality, if we're not careful, we can sometimes come to a place where we are making very quick judgments about others or about the self. But I'm really seeing it more so for others. It's just like not being somebody, it's like being able to be a forgiving person, being able to hold space for people still. And also knowing like who and what is, I don't want to say deserving of your space, but yeah, like who or what, because there's still this emphasis on needing to, like protect yourself or shield yourself or retreat away from people that are meaning to cause harm. But there is also an emphasis on not engaging with that energy necessarily, and more of an emphasis on retreating from it, disengaging from it, pulling back from it. Not like I gotta fight you now because now there's an issue, right? And now I gotta now I gotta talk. This feels very quiet. This feels very much like, if there's a disagreement, let it fade away. For right now, let it go into like a hibernation or whatever, right? Like let it do what it has to do, but you don't necessarily have to have hands on it. And just like kind of like let it flow, let it be, let things take up whatever space that it is that they need to take up. And if that means that it needs to move away from you, then let it be, right? Yeah, that's what I'm seeing for that was the coral and the sunscreen and, is really just like making sure that you're also non-toxic in your pursuit of setting the intentions, and in your pursuit of thinking, like maybe even going back to when I first started this conversation about what we can bring to the table for the collective. And if like an idea drops into your mind, like how can we help balance? It's like staying humble in that pursuit, reminding yourself that you're doing this for all, not for you. It is for you in a sense, right? Because maybe you're letting go of old beliefs about yourself, right? And this is your release work, is getting into actual physical work that says, I am not the beliefs that I once had. And here's how I show that, right? By stepping out and standing out and being in my power. At the same time, you have to understand, there needs to be an understanding and that you can absolutely step in your power, and that's desirable. But there has to be an air of humility. Otherwise, the message will be blurred. The lines will be like crossed, and it's not something that can sustain itself, right? It won't be able to be sustainable, right? It'll continue to break apart. And I think that also speaks on the energy of the divine masculine being wounded here, the wounded masculine being here, right? That would be a very much wounded energy of like, okay, I'm going to stand in my power, but now I'm like domineering and controlling, right? Or like now I'm more of a dictator, right? Or I'm just like, I'm overreacting. I'm overreacting. I'm angry, and I'm if you are feeling angry during this season, that's not a bad thing. Feel angry, be upset. You know what I mean? If you are feeling upset during this eclipse season, if there's like things that you need to release, then absolutely let that be your focus, and be sure that you're creating a sacred space in order to do that. That's really what it is you're coming through. It's like there's like a righteous anger, a righteous rage, a righteous, way to move with these heavier emotions, maybe in these release, like these energies that you're trying to release and work through for yourself. There's a way to go about it, and there is a right and wrong way to go about it. And Spirit definitely wants me to like engage you on that and let you know that think before you speak, think before you act. Like, take the time, pray, check in with your ancestors, check in with your guides, ground yourself, go outside, be at peace, right? Ask for what it is that you need, right? Ask for clarity, journal, right? Don't just step up on some shit and think that that's like you're standing on fucking business, because something somewhere will come and just that rug right out from under you, okay? And that's okay, because it's like you can either be, okay, I heard that, you can either be humble immediately on the onset, or you will be humiliated. So there's an emphasis there, and I don't know why that's coming through, but there is definitely an emphasis there. So it's also like, because like here too, really quick, I just want to say this, like the mama bear is coming through, and like I love a mama bear moment, okay? But at the same time, you can think like sometimes like she might attack something that's just getting close, but it's like it wanted nothing to do with her or her cub. It was just somebody walking by, and like unfortunately, like that person is now fucking problem like a problem, and she's gonna solve it, right? And it's like, in order for her to, okay, that's an image. In order for her to solve that problem, she has to now leave her young cub to go solve this problem. But now she's left this young cub on his own, right? Or on their own, right? And so you want to look at what you're leaving behind in order to pursue something that you think you need to get rid of. There's a message there. Okay. Really quick, just one last little loving send off from the Blessings Butterfly. These are actually called Cosmic Transformation, I believe. What is it that we want to hear? And I'm going to be quiet. Oh my gosh. I think I say this every time I shuffle these card deck, because they're so, like, they're just giant. So it's hard to get them. I feel like I just throw them sometimes. Okay, I'm feeling like I need to slide these out and pick like that. So we're gonna do that. Oh, hang on, that didn't slide very well. All right, a little more. I feel like I'm playing the piano when I do that. La la la. Oh, that one. this inner child. There's always an emphasis on that, right? And it's because it's your heart space. It's your heart. It's your core, the center of who you are. And maybe that's where a lot of these things are, maybe that's like where a lot of these things are coming up from, right? And maybe we got to take a look at going back, right? We're going back. We're going back and we're engaging with that part of ourselves, right? That part of ourselves that needs it. The part of ourselves that needs it. It doesn't even necessarily have to be, we don't have to take this so literally. It can just be a part of ourselves that needs a message, a part of ourselves that needs nurturing, that needs comfort, that needs release, that needs the attention, that needs some energy, right? It's just making sure that those things that we're giving the attention to are actually like our actual problems. Or is this actually a problem in my life? Or is this just something that I'm utilizing to distract me from doing the work in this other area? Because that's a huge thing, right? That's something that we do as humans. When we don't want to look at ourselves, we look at other people. What are they doing? What are they doing? You know what I mean? Like it's totally normal. Like it's not a bad thing, but it can definitely keep us stuck and stagnant and thinking that we've healed something or thinking that we've done the work and then it just like pops up glaring and we're like, what the hell? I thought and it's like, well, you did kind of, but you got a little distracted, a little carried away along the way, like, cause you hit a spot, you hit a chord that was too painful and you fucking ran out of there real quick, right? You're like, I'm good. It's time to kind of get back to that. It's time to go and get in that space and figure out what's going on and, return back to your power, Wow. No sooner did I say that, inner power, because that's what we're doing. That's where we're coming from. All right, babes. That is all I'm saying for right now. I am going to go ahead and be quiet because this freaking video is way too long again. But thank you so much for joining me today. I am looking forward to the solar eclipse. I cannot wait to bake my cookies. I will let you know how it is, how it goes. I probably won't go live or do anything like that because I don't like doing that much, but I will definitely be posting about it on my story on Instagram. So again, if you're not following me there, you definitely should, because that's where I am doing my more of my updates, my random thoughts that I have, my random downloads that come through, right? And it's just somewhere that you can really connect with me on a easier way. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, share this message with someone who you think really needs it. And I will see you on the next one. Have a good solar eclipse. Bye, guys.